China O'Brien is a direct-to-video action martial arts western kind of movie starring Cynthia Rothrock. She plays China, a big city cop who trains kids at a dojo on her free time. She's a good cop. She's offered a challenge by one of the gang members who's taking lessons, and she's got to prove to him that martial arts is amazing. So when she goes to this alley to fight, these gangsters, she finds out that they're not her pupils' friends. It's an actual gang attack from a rival gang. And she draws her weapon on a kid with a gun and shoots him. No one blames her for this, but she feels, ashamed. She won't be able to, continue being in that community. She feels like she's betrayed them. So she moves back to her small town where her dad is the sheriff. However, her high school flame Matt says that her father is kind of on the end of his ropes. He does have enough deputies, but one of them might be corrupt, and everyone seems to be under the thrall of Summers, the powerful, corrupt businessman who also has a judge in his pocket. So with that going on, he's trying to find outside help to stop all of the corruption. However, the criminals, they take retaliation and they do something terrible to the sheriff and put him away. So now there's no sheriff for the moment, and China decides to take the fight to them by becoming the sheriff herself. So she has to fight the normal way, the political way. So this movie is a little bit cheesy in that sense. It's not the most compelling story, but the movie does shine with Cynthia Rothrock's athleticism, as well as Richard Norton. Most people don't know Richard Norton. They just know he's been a baddie a few times in some martial arts films like Jackie Chan's City Hunter and Rumble in the Bronx. No, Mr. Nice Guy. Mr. Nice Guy, he's the villain. Good movie. And he's also the villain in a couple of Hong Kong martial arts films too. Richard Norton does show a lot of great athleticism in this movie. He plays the boyfriend character. There's also an extra good guy named Dakota. He's like a rebellious teenager on a motorcycle who also knows martial arts, who helps them out. Overall, this is a, kind of like a Hardy Boys novel, but with Cynthia Rothrock instead. And, there's a lot of ass kicking, a great fight scene in a gym, utilizing all of the gym equipment. And, it gets down to its normal, sort of, I think the gym fight is definitely the highlight of the film. The rest of the movie is kind of just standard. And then, we get the whole stopping the villain thing. So overall, China O'Brien was described by Variety magazine as a decent showcase of Cynthia Rothrock. I agree. It's not the greatest movie, but it's a simple, enjoyable martial arts action fest. And sometimes you want that cheese. So I give China O'Brien a 6 out of 10. China O'Brien 2 is the sequel to China O'Brien. It is both films are directed by Robert Clouse. And this film is the return of Cynthia Rothrock as well as Richard Norton and the kid who plays Dakota. So we begin the film with a murder montage. A drug lord named C.C. Briggs has escaped, and he wants revenge on all the people that betrayed him or put him away. So he's got this small little militia-like army, and he's going after the last person who betrayed him, who's now got a family, and they're living in the small town that China is the sheriff of. So during a 4th of July celebration, some thugs try to kidnap a man named Alan and his family, and China and her deputies fight him off. And the first 45 minutes becomes a sort of hostage scenario in which the villains then grab Alan's wife and daughter and Dakota and demand the $5 million that Alan was able to steal. So the movie's kind of boring in this regard because it's all gunplay. There's a little bit of martial arts because of the 4th of July celebration fight, and there's a little bit of fight at the hostage scenario rescue as well. But the movie really comes into its own in the second half. The second half finds all the good guys sort of hiding out in the police station trying to go for help, and the villains are showed up with all their guns and spread up and they're looking for them. So it's up to China O'Brien and Matt and Dakota to go kick some ass, and each of them fight their own little sub-boss battles. There's plenty of martial arts action, plenty of gunplay, a lot of people shooting each other, lots of actual deaths. So there's more stakes in this film. I actually kind of enjoyed China O'Brien 2 a little bit more than the first one because that second half is like packed with action. Robert Clouse definitely knows how to entertain, and this movie has less of a Western vibe. It's more of just an action thriller sort of thing. The only downgrade, I guess, would be that the villain is very generic. He's like the villain from the first film, an older white drug lord or crime lord who doesn't know how to fight, so there's no big showdown, but each of the main characters gets to fight their own sub-boss and plenty of henchmen. So China O'Brien 2 is a very enjoyable sequel, and I give it a 6.5 out of 10.